Welcome, welcome, welcome from the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, flying through the internet to your device like a UAP, hauntingly unexplained and downright weird. This is the witching hours, ready to take off in the flash of an eye. Good evening to one and all, wherever and whenever you are listening to our program. I am your host, Giant of the Frost, and joining me as always is the other host and half of this program, Medium Jenny Lee. How's everybody doing this evening?
Hello.
Welcome in, welcome in.
Got lots of folks already. We're so excited.
Yeah, tonight is going to be, it's going to be an exciting program. So some of you have heard our guest story. I have not, intentionally. As we started talking about it and we found out she was going to be on the show, I decided I'm going to get a fresh take tonight. So, but I know some of you do know her story, and that's MK McDaniel, who's going to be on tonight. So I just want to make sure that if you have questions, go ahead and start getting them ready to put in the chat.
We, of course, already have 8 questions from linguists.
Good. I know
Yes.
she's excited. No,
Yeah.
we had a lot who were excited. So that's good. How's everybody doing? We had a good stream last time. We were just hanging out playing some First Class Trouble, which was an absolute blast.
That's very fun.
Yeah. So we plan on doing that again soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I found out that there is some other games that company's made that's like almost exactly the same thing, except there's no bad guys. There's no sneaky people. It's everyone
What
working.
fun is that?
Yeah, well, it's working together for like an escape room kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
the
I
escape
thought-
room sounds fun.
So I thought that could be kind of cool to get everyone involved in one night too. And then people in the chat can help with the puzzles, because it's like way more puzzle heavy too. So no, not last night, last week. I don't know, when was that? Like
It was Sunday.
Sunday. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we might do some more of that. Definitely we're going to do another stream next Thursday, every Thursday now. But if we have a chance to pop on Sunday or something, we might play a little bit. So we'll see what's going on there. How's everything going with you, Medium Jenny Lee?
Fantastic. I will be sad that I'm not here tomorrow night with you guys, but I will be excited that we're going to see Jim Gaffigan. So that we got to have a fun stream on Tuesday with lots of good readings. Well, I don't know if they were good readings. They were weird readings as usual.
Yeah.
But
Team
weird all the way. But yeah, we got to try out our lottery system, and I think it's going to work really well. So, are we ready for the news, Frost Giant?
Yes, we are ready for the news. Okay, so the first one tonight, as it says in the old Bible, there were giants in those days.
Oh yay, giants.
2 separate viral videos filmed in Mexico purportedly show what appears to be giant figures standing atop sizable hills in different parts of the country. According to a local media report, the strangeness started last month when a TikTok user uploaded footage of an enormous entity walking along a hill in the city of Tlalnepantla.
But it's not a Bigfoot?
Although, well, you have to look at the videos to see. I'll get those put up later in the show.
Yeah, in the Discord.
Although it is uncertain who filmed the video and when exactly this sighting occurred, it spread like wildfire on social media, with many marveling at the staggering size of the figure and wondering if it could have been a Bigfoot. Shortly thereafter, a second piece of footage showing a similar giant emerged online and also went viral. I've seen both of these videos, and they are interesting, but there's a second part to that. Last year, a Canadian man captured footage of what appeared to be an enormous figure standing atop a mountain, and then claimed that the strange sighting caused him to be targeted by the CIA. The very weird case reportedly began earlier this year as Andrew Dawson and a friend were driving to work in the province of Alberta Their normal routine commute took a strange turn when he noticed something unusual protruding from the massive mountain Whistler's Peak off in the distance. And looking at all three of them, I think they are all pretty interesting to say the least. And like I said, I'll get those up in the Discord sometime tonight. But they don't look like Bigfoot. And they don't look like they're 10 feet tall, 7 feet tall. They look like they might be like 20 feet tall, 30 feet tall. I mean, it's like you see this huge mountain in the distance, and there's just like this thing standing on top of it that looks absolutely massive. Wow. So I'll get that up in a little bit, and you guys can, I'll let you all decide. But giants in the news, of course, I had to talk about. It's your
giant of the frost. Yeah, that's appropriate.
The lost metal of Atlantis. So mysterious metal ingots linked to the mythical civilization of Atlantis have been recovered from an ancient shipwreck off the coast of Sicily. Archaeologists last month recovered a wealth of ingots of an unusual golden alloy from the wreck sitting in about 3 meters of water, 300 meters off the coast of Gela in southern Sicily. Also recovered from the wreck, which sank about 2,600 years ago, were 2 Corinthian war helmets and containers once used to hold precious scented oils. But the rough lumps of metal were still shining with red and gold hues after 2 millennia on the seafloor, and this has excited the archaeological world because it could be Ora Chalcum, the mythical lost metal of Atlantis.
What makes them think it's that?
Because they've never seen it before, and it's always been. Oh,
it's like not a typical gold.
Yeah, it's an alloy. It's an alloy, and it's always been. I think even if I'm not mistaken, Plato had actually talked about. It had been kind of noted that these people in Atlantis had this certain kind of metal.
Yeah.
And they found it off the coast of what used to be like an ancient town for shipping where they made jewelry. So the fact that it was going there was interesting. They did do a study on the metal alloy, and they found out that it was 75 to 80% copper, 14 to 20% zinc, and a scattering of nickel, lead, and iron. Which they don't think people around that area were able to make at the time. So that leads to that.
I'm excited about anything with Atlantis. So.
Yeah. The third one I thought was interesting tonight, a startup company called Make Sunsets that says it's begun releasing particles in letting the climate.
So just letting them do this.
Make Sunsets is already attempting to earn revenue for geoengineering, a move likely to provoke widespread criticism. Geoengineering refers to deliberate efforts to manipulate the climate by reflecting more sunlight back into space, mimicking a natural process that occurs in the aftermath of large volcanic eruptions. In theory, spraying sulfur and similar particles in sufficient quantities could potentially ease global warming. But of course, this is highly controversial. Little is known about the real-world effect of such deliberate inventions. And a lot of other scientists are deeply troubled that the company appears to have moved forward with its launches from a site in Mexico. And there hasn't been any public engagement or scientific scrutiny done to what they're going to do. And they're already planning on like selling cooling credits and stuff like that for more balloon flights that could carry larger amounts of this stuff that they plan to put into the atmosphere.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, so interesting. So if you're interested in that, I'll post that article up a little bit later as well. The next thing we have in the news is psychic investigators search for a missing cat. Psychic and investigators are searching for a missing cat that captivates Bolivia. So firefighters, aviation authorities, and most recently an animal psychic have joined the Bolivian government's mission to help find Tito, a gray and white male tabby cat that went missing on a domestic flight last month.
Oh, wow.
The plight of Tito and its determined owner, Andrea Iturre, has captivated Bolivia. Consumer Rights Minister Jorge Silva said last week that authorities had even called in a psychic to try to make contact and locate the cat.
I love it. Calling the animal communicators.
It's always interesting because, you know, everyone's a skeptic.
Tito, where are you? Yeah. Till Tito gets lost. And then
everyone's a skeptic until, right?
call in the psychics. We need this kitty. So you have one more story and then we can get to our guests.
Yeah. So, and this one ties into the last show that we did about making predictions for 2023. So in Peru, cool. Shamans every year in December meet and make predictions for the year through their ceremony and ritual and stuff like that. And this year, these shamans have predicted peace between Russia and Ukraine.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
A group of shaman healers in Peru's capital in Lima on Wednesday. Up a hilltop, the shamans, donning traditional Andean attire, welcome the coming year in a purification ceremony incorporating flowers, incense, a snake, and photos of the Ukrainian and Russian presidents. All this will calm down. Peace, tranquility will come. That's what we've seen, said shaman Cleof Sedano, predicting a peace treaty would be signed by August.
Let's hope so.
So, hopefully, a good prediction that next January we can they came true.
Yes, let's hope that was a true one for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, if everyone's ready, we'll go ahead and welcome in our guests tonight.
We waiting for.
While dying from lung failure in 1999, MK Kathy McDaniel was placed on a ventilator and into a drug-induced coma. A disturbing near-death experience occurred, and although mostly traumatic, the overwhelming bliss of heaven she experienced shifted her religious beliefs to a deep spirituality. Kathy credits the members of INDS, International Association for Near-Death Studies, for her eventual integration of the disturbing NDE and the ability to accept the sacred mission that calls her reluctant return to Earth. She now shares her experience and its messages as a guest on various media and via her memoir, Misfit in Hell, to Heaven Expat. And we would like to welcome on to the show Kathy McDaniel.
Hey!
And I have
Yay!
Yay!
Thanks for having me on.
He's got to put your face up there.
I'm working on it. There we go.
Ta-da!
There she is. Yay. And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah. So welcome on.
Thank you.
It definitely, you know, just from reading the bio brings up a lot of questions, but I guess the best place is to let you start. So how did all this begin?
It's a long story. Well, it started off because one of my very best friends, somebody I was engaged to for 7 years, came to me and said that he had leukemia and needed 2 caregivers to go with him to Seattle, Washington, to a research hospital to see if they could try and save him. He was only 53 years old, a year older than me. And I said, sure. So I went to Seattle, found us an apartment near the hospital, and he had another caregiver show up. And we thought it was going to be about 2 or 3 months. But after 8 or 9 months, it was still going on, and it was constant trauma and stress, and he'd get better, he'd get worse. And then he died. And by then I was a complete physical, mental, and spiritual wreck. And before I could get back to my hometown, I caught a flu that was going around, kind of like COVID. And I ended up in the hospital with ARDS, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome or lung failure. The doctor came in, told my family, who had gathered around from all corners, that I had about a 38% chance of making it. They do their best, but they thought it would be better for everybody if I was put into a drug-induced coma. I'd be more comfortable, and then they could, intubate me and feed me oxygen and try different things on me. The last thing the doctor said was, I'm going to give you something called white amnesia, and it will make your brain kind of go offline. You will not be able to remember anything that happens to you. Just, relax, go to sleep, whatever. Last thing I remember is my dad giving me the thumbs up, and lights went out. That was fine. I was in the coma.
Can I stop you there for a second?
Sure.
So do you think that because you were so run down from this whole experience of like almost a year with your friend, that might be a contributing factor to why the flu like turned into this horrible extra thing?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was a stress-related thing. I mean, people that were getting the flu, we had gone to a concert and they were dropping like flies off the stage. I mean, there were people having singing, for a Christmas concert, and they literally were passing out. So we thought, we probably shouldn't have come to this thing. So it was virulent to begin with. Then I let it go too long, thinking I'd be better. And then it just got out of control.
Wow.
Yeah, things like that can get out of control pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering too, Jenny. So yeah.
Stress is a serious
it can
thing.
do it for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I thought I was unconscious. Nothing was happening, but then I woke up and I was in a completely dark place. There was no sound. There was nothing to see, and I had no idea how I got there. I was just kind of confused, and I was afraid to move. I didn't know if I was sitting or standing or what. So I just kind of hung out, wondering what was going on. And then it started to get a little brighter, a little lighter. And it was kind of a reddish glow. And I thought, well, maybe the sun's coming up, maybe I'm outside. And it kind of looked foggy, though. And that was kind of like, this isn't right. It got too warm. It smelled terrible. And all of a sudden, out of this fog came this scary voice that just said, do you know where you are? And it caused me to freak out and said, well, all I could think of was hell. And then this voice just went, whoa, just like in a horror film.
Yeah.
And I just turned and ran into the darkness, scared half to death. That was the beginning.
So how much time do you feel like what did the time feel like that passed between falling asleep?
When I got back, I kept, this has never gone away. But even when I just got back, I was laying in the hospital. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move. I kind of played it out, in my mind. And I thought I was there a couple years. Wow. It just was such a long, long time. There was a lot of time walking on this interminable road that was just boring. But that was the good news, because it would get dark. Like somebody turned off the lights and then they turn on the lights and these segments happened. And the first one was in some sort of, bombed out New York City or something. All the buildings were falling over and there was fires and people screaming. And then there was weird things that were scuttling about. And I thought, aliens? I had no idea. I was just scared. So at no time did I think, I'm dead. None of that happened. It was just me being alive, trying to stay alive. But
so when you were placed in the white amnesia, was there any time to you that seemed like had passed before this begins? Was like a moment
or you
where
woke
there's like
up
a
in
reawakening, or was it like instantaneous?
It was instantaneous. I mean, instantaneous, I went out. Like when you're going to get a colonoscopy or something, they say count backwards and you're gone. Yeah. And then you wake up later and they say, that was an hour and a half and you're just fine. And you have no recollection of anything that happened. Well, that's what I expected would happen. But somehow I wasn't in Kansas anymore. So I somehow, I got somewhere else. And it was just very frightening. And I don't know how long this program is, but I'm going to skip ahead.
We usually go for a couple of hours, so we have all the time in the world.
So brought a snack. Well, excuse me, I'm getting over pneumonia again. This is my fourth bout this year, so you've got to forgive me. Yeah, it keeps trying to kill me. Anyway, this was segments of things that some of them had demons in them. Some of them had just being alone on that horrible, boring road, afraid that something that was going to come out and get me at any second. It was very stressful. And whenever I had a situation come up where the demons were, they always said, hey, you want to get out of here? If you do just this, I'll see that you get out. And then they'd give me some ridiculous task. It was either gruesome or it was impossible. And then I would just, I'd attempt it, or I'd say, no, I'm not going to do that. That's the misfit in hell thing. I was not very pliable or compliant. And I just kept thinking, I'm going to get out of here. I'm just a survivor, and I'm not going to put up with this crap. There's got to be a way out.
A lady after my own heart.
If I
not putting up with this crap.
Yeah, just play along. Act like you're going to give up, and then wait for an open door or a window someplace.
So you said that
this went on and on.
Oh, sorry. So you said that you were being given some kind of task to do, or is there any? Like, what kind of tasks were you being asked to do? What kind of things?
There was one crazy one when they told me, they showed me an entire blackberry field as far as you could see, and then gave me paper cutting scissors to cut them down. And then when I would cut one down, it would grow back. And then they'd laugh. They thought that was hilarious. The worst awful one was I found myself in a hospital. And they told me my job was to take something given to me in one room and take it over to another room. Seemed like innocuous, but it was actually an abortion clinic. And there was all these destroyed babies that they wanted me to put across the hall into this room that was just piled with them. And I said, no, that's disgusting. That's awful. I'm not going to do it. And that's when they would usually raise something to hit me, like they were going to pummel me, and then the lights would go out and then come up again. So this just kept going on until the last time, and I didn't know it was going to be the last time. But I did get out, again, being a brat. And when that happened, it was just instantaneously like a balloon being filled up suddenly with helium. It was just an infusion of love and joy and bliss, and nothing like I'd ever experienced before. And it just came out of nowhere that I was just like, all my molecules were just dissolved in this joy. And that was cool. I loved it. And everything else behind, I'd forgotten. I was just so enveloped with this. And then as the scene went from a bright, bright, bright light to something more like, I don't know, a white walls and white ceiling, but more like a cathedral kind of thing, I looked over and there's my friend, the one that died the month before. And instead of looking all horrible after dying of leukemia, he looked great. And he was laughing, and he was staring at me like he knew something I didn't know. And I thought, uh-oh, he doesn't know he's dead. How weird, And he starts laughing, and I thought, I didn't say that out loud. And I looked over, and I know I saw a table and had a great big book open about halfway. And I thought, he was showing me something in that book. And I said, no, that's going to be too hard. I want to stay here with you. So he walked toward me, and he said, Mary Kay, you've got too much left to do. And it took me about 2 seconds to say, oh my, they're throwing me out? And I was absolutely not leaving. I crossed my arms, stamped my foot, and said, no. Well, they're stronger than I am. And poof, after going to a little timeout, lovely period, and meeting a couple people that gave me a message to give to someone, I woke up in the hospital, bright lights, too bright, and all these people screaming. And I thought, oh, shit, I'm in hell again. And it was my family, you know, so excited. Oh, Mom, you've been in a coma. We thought we lost you. They said you were going to die. And I can't move. I got that thing in my throat. I can't talk. And I'm blinking. And, you know, you got to start all over. My daughter sits down. Now you've been really sick. You're really ill. You're not in very good shape. And I had to start processing all of that. I was in the hospital, intensive care for the month, and then a month in physical rehab facility where I had to learn. I'd lost all my muscle mass, all my muscle memory. I couldn't do anything. I was like an infant. I had to learn how to swallow and crawl and walk and go up and down stairs. And it was very humbling, humiliating, infuriating. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be home, you know, home. So just, I had to finally, after, you know, a lot of depression, nobody wanted to talk to me about it. You know, we don't know about it. We don't know about that. That's bad. It took 10 years before I found ions. Actually, it was 12 years of trying to carry this stuff around. I mean, I would write it out and put it in a drawer, write it out. When is this going to go away? You know, it's just fresh. Everything, first thing in the morning, it's all there. I couldn't get rid of it. So going to ions, I found a lot of other people that had, you know, died, came back. They all had the you know, the angels and puppies and butterfly stuff. And I'm going, I don't belong here. But finally somebody said, you know, that's really unusual. That, you know, it's usually about 1 in 8, 1 in 5 to 1 in 10 supposedly have disturbing or distressing experiences, but they don't like to come forward. I mean, when somebody says, why did you go to hell? You don't answer, you know? I don't know, you know, what did you do?
There's a lot of, there's a lot of stigma around that.
A lot of shame, a lot of fear. So finally, I did tell the story. I thought they'd throw me out, but they just thought, wow, you know, you're so brave to tell us all this. This is cool. You know, I was like, I didn't think it was cool.
Yeah.
But then I've been
suffering with it for so long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, my shrink, I had a counselor I went to occasionally, and she says, well, I can put PTSD on your chart, but I don't know how to help you. I don't know where to start. Wow. So I was left alone. Mm-hmm. But through ions, I found other people. I read some books like from Nancy Evans Bush and Howard Storm and Nancy Betty Eddy. That had also these dark experiences. So I was able to kind of start to process. And through all of this, finally, it started dawning on me that I was a cradle Catholic. I was taught my entire life that nobody goes straight to heaven. Everybody goes to purgatory. Purgatory is like hell, except you get out. And I really, truly believe now that I manifested that whole scene, that I expected to go to a hell, and I wasn't disappointed. Yeah. So what I have learned and what I've come back to tell people is skip the trip. God is all loving, all forgiving, never condemns anybody. You don't go to hell. Whenever you die, you go to heaven, you go home. And sure, there's a life review. I mean, it's not, you don't skip in there for free. You get to see your entire life, how you did. You know, we actually plan our lives before we come down here. When they're through with one side of the life review, they flip it over, and you get to feel how it was to interact with you through every person that you encountered during your life. So if you were really kind and sweet and gentle with somebody, oh, you're going to feel that love and comfort that they felt. If you weren't so nice, you cut some old lady off in traffic or something, you're going to feel her fear, her anger. So it's just a learning experience. It's not a punishment. Mm-hmm. So it's just a lot friendlier than people think it is. And that's my pick now. I got to come back and share this with everybody. And when I get it all done, I get to go home.
Yeah. So when you woke up from the coma, you had all of that memory of what had just happened. Like none of it ever, you didn't have to try to remember any of it. It was like fresh.
No. It's more real. It's more real than real being on the other side. Mm-hmm. This actually is an illusion. Mm-hmm. This is not real. This is just an illusion. It's like the quantum physics thing. You know, we're all one. We're all one piece of God. It's all spirit. And when you really go back home, whoa, it is totally more real than here.
Absolutely.
It's hard to explain.
It is because our this dimensional brain can't comprehend it. Yeah.
No, that would be cheating. Yeah. Then if we came down here and knew all the answers, we couldn't use our free will and make choices, good choices, not so good choices.
So we're starting to get some questions. Okay. So our friend linguist, she was asking about the people that were like zombies. Could they have been people that you felt uncomfortable being around in your life, in your real life?
Yeah, that's what I figured out when I got home. I thought, what were each of these scenarios about, mm-hmm. And I could nail them all back. I watched way too many zombie movies as a child. My sister's addicted to them. Okay, zombies are in there. But there were, these zombies beat me and they physically abused me and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I had a rape thing happen in my life. So I put zombies, rape guy together and had this really horrible scene.
I'm sorry that you had to go through that. And both scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. I had a question about having your life played back afterwards. At what point in time did that happen for you? Was that something that happened at the end, or do you think it was something that kind of took place? Thing.
They threw me out way too soon. I mean, some people get to stay up there for what seems like years. They go see the universities. They go see the other planets. They go up. No, I got kicked out too quick.
Okay, so you never got that far into the process.
No, I'm looking forward to that. Boy, it sure changes the way you treat people.
Exactly.
When I got back, I kept saying, tell me how to do it right. I don't ever want to go there again. And I was told to be loving, kind, merciful, forgiving, encouraging, grateful, non-judgmental, and useful. That's all I had to do. So that's kind of my mantra when I start my day off. But if you can't remember all that, it's loving and kind. Just go from loving and kind.
Yeah.
Where
exactly?
So we know the voices you heard at the beginning of the story and what was going on there. Was it your friend who was giving you those messages, or do you know where you were getting the message on what to do when you returned?
The message I didn't get the message of what I was to do. It disappeared. Okay. They mind wipe you. I know I was looking at that book and he was telling me, I assumed I was halfway through my life and about that. And that I had all this other stuff to do. I had no idea. And what's so funny is that, of course, I gave back. I finally got my health back. COVID hits a few years later. You can't go out of the house. How am I supposed to get anything done? I was getting goosey about that. And then boom, with podcasts.
I got stuff to do, man.
I know. How am I going to do? I can't leave the darn house. So podcast. This is number 96 for me in 2.5 years.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Kathy.
I've got like over 330,000 views.
That's amazing.
When we plan our lives, we plan how we're going to figure this all out. And it's like a joke sometimes when I think, how is this going to happen? And ta-da.
There it is.
It shows up.
So you getting tired of talking about it yet?
No.
Good.
Because if I don't get it all done, I can't go home. I'll talk to anybody who'll listen.
So I did have a question because we actually talked with Mark Hunter Brooks the other day, and he was telling us that you had 90 some podcasts already. So I was thinking, like, now that you've talked about it so many times, you've written a book about it, you had all that time where you're having to think about it every day. Have your thoughts and feelings about it changed any through this podcast experience?
Yes. Through talking about it, processing it, understanding it, looking at it from different directions 23 years later, I look at that as the best thing that ever happened to me. It totally changed my life. I see everything differently. I've gone from being religious to spiritual. I look forward to going home. I know that I've got a purpose. Yeah, all these things that as a human before that, I worried about making money. I had to get my kids in college. I had to, all this stuff. It's immaterial now. I think the biggest thing in knowing that I plan my life is beforehand, shit happens. And I would shake my fist at God and say, what is wrong with you? Are you deaf? I am praying like hell, and this shit keeps happening to me. Yeah. Why me? Now I just say, oh, Kath, you planned that. I wonder what you were thinking. Yeah. And then
where is this going to lead me? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, there's a lesson, girl. You better learn it. You don't want to be doing this over again. So I don't feel like a victim anymore.
That's wonderful.
It's wonderful. It's very freeing.
Yeah, that's a great feeling. Linguist had another question. She was talking about the Christmas Carol part where you're singing the Christmas carols. She said, it made me feel like you were super courageous. How did you not feel desperate at that point?
I was at a real low. Okay. I was thinking, maybe I'm not going to get out of here. But that demon lady just pissed me off one more time. She said, I just was tired, but I was not out, and they were going to, we were going to be whores of hell, right? After this beating up and rape scene and all this. Now we traveled through the snow and they put us in this horrible cabin. It was wind and snow blowing through here. And this lady says, okay, now we're going to wait for customers. And I thought, how can this ever get any worse, And I said to her, I says, I've been here a long time. It feels particularly dark and heavy. What is going on? And she says, oh, well, it's Christmas on Earth. That's always the worst day in hell. And I thought, hell? I mean, that was the first time it dawned on me that this was pretty serious. And I got angry. I started singing a Christmas carol. I drove her nuts. She came at me with a club, and the other girls started singing along. And when we got to the part, it was my favorite one. It's Away in a Manger, and you get to the part where you go, and the little Lord. And before I could say the word, she shrieked and jumped at me. And that's when I went to heaven. People ask me, why, you good Catholic girl, why didn't you pray when you were down there? Why didn't you call on Jesus? I was supposed to be there. I planned to be there, and that experience I had to go through. It was something I chose, and so that was not allowed into my mind. And so at the very end, that was my ticket out, and I planned that too. So it just worked out the way it was supposed to.
And you think that was a place that was made uniquely for you?
I made it. A lot of people come back and same thing. I hear that all the time. They've got segments. And that to me is that whole thing about, okay, you picked the hellish things. You went there because you were told you would go there. You went there because you believed you would go there. And your mind is very, very potent. We have to be careful of our thoughts. And
thoughts are things.
Well, thoughts become things.
Yes.
So, the message is don't go there. Don't put your energy into anything negative or hellish. I'm sure there is negative energy out there. I stay away from it. I don't even want to contemplate it. But I understand from others there is probably some space somewhere where the negative energy collects. And if you're expecting to go to that energy, you might get sucked in. Again, I don't like to think about it because it gives them, like, I don't know, not power. Well, I guess power. It draws them, and don't want any of that near me at all. I don't watch any of that demon stuff on television or movies or anything. That's too real.
Yeah.
I can imagine. You've already had enough scares. You don't need any more, right?
Yeah. Done with the zombie movies.
Plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I don't want anybody to have to do that.
No.
I think it's interesting too, because you said that the moment that you leave there, it was like a moment of you kind of taking power, though, like self-empowerment.
I don't know what it was. It was just the end.
Yeah.
It was the end. Whereas people here that aren't going to have that experience, and it's like atheists. Oh, that's another one that kind of, it's like atheists. They don't believe anything's on the other side. And I know many of them that have, and it's like, surprise.
Yeah.
There's something here. You're in heaven. And there's a guy, you're kidding. I didn't believe this was going to happen. So it's like, wait a minute. Yeah. They come back and say, wow, I just didn't expect anything. And there was all of this love and all of this going on and all this, knowledge and joy. And yeah, it's there. It's really just on the side of the veil.
As a medium, I've had two experiences just recently within the past couple of months where I came across entities who had similar experiences as you. One had gotten stuck and she thought she was going to go to hell. So she refused to leave. And then the other one had made her own hell because she thought she deserved to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was just their own experiences that they weren't willing to let go of. Yeah.
Now, the ones that are stuck, have you ever heard of Father Nathan Castle?
No.
He's a cool Dominican priest, and his mission when he's off duty, as he said, is to help stuck souls get home. And they come to him and say, I need help. And so he and his prayer partners, they help them. It's a thing. It's a real thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'll have to look that up. What was that name again? I'm going to write that down.
Father Nathan Castle, C-A-S.
I'll have to look that up.
Oh, he's the most humble, kind, gentle man you ever ran into. He's got a Facebook page and he tells his stories, but wow, he's like the saint. If there's a saint around here, he's one of them.
That's interesting.
That's awesome.
And so you say you transitioned afterwards from, like you said, a Catholic upbringing to being more spiritual now and focusing on that. Just out of curiosity, we've had this discussion with other guests and just with our community here on Twitch and stuff like that about, do you see a movement right now of moving towards spiritualism? Like how do you observe that?
I ran across deconstruction. That was a term I couldn't quite put, my finger on it. What was I doing? But it's got a lot of definitions for different people. But it's taking a hard look at what I was taught. All the time I was growing up, I could not reconcile God sending people to hell. I could not reconcile people going to hell just because they didn't get baptized. I mean, things didn't make sense. I mean, the prodigal son, that was cool. And the guy, the Good Samaritan, and the Sermon on the Mount, that all felt good to me. But the other, I've had to let that go as stories. I mean, you got to look at the Bible, where it came from thousands of years ago, and how, there was political stuff that went on in the middle. And, for me, I had to let that go and just know that God loves me, all I need to know. And we are part of God. We're already part of God. Our souls are God, know?
And it's one of those things where I hear that more now than I ever had before. But I don't know whether that's because of the circles I'm in or whether that's something that's trending and kind of just happens to be kind of a way that we're going right now, because I hear so much more about just spiritualism itself and the universe and a one and love and being kind to one another. I hear people talk about that, I think, more than I ever have before.
Well, I think the statistic is something like 1 in 10 people have had some sort of spiritual experience, whether you're a medium or an NDE or an out of body person, or there's just, and I think we know more about, people all over the world with the podcasts and stuff. It's happening everywhere. Yes, I think we're becoming more spiritually aware. I do.
All of us weirdos are able to find each other on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be a weirdo.
Yeah, and just the communication around the world and the mixing of Western and Eastern philosophies, I think, on that, and kind of the understanding and being able to put put the puzzle pieces together rather than only seeing one part of the puzzle. Yeah. I
totally believe that. Everybody that comes back has a little puzzle piece and or has an experience like being a medium. I mean, a medium, when my dad was only dead a couple of days when my publisher was a medium, and he came through when we were talking about our contract of all things, and she kept saying, "Oh, your dad's here," and I was like, "What do you mean? Oh, your dad's here?" Yeah. What's he saying? And it was so cool that he told me a couple things. I just knew it was him. There was no doubt about it. And I got a picture of him over my computer here. We talk all the time. He does weird stuff. He lets my mom and I talk for 25 minutes. Every night I call her. She's got dementia. She's 95. And she can get a little long-winded. Yeah. So at 25 minutes, the phone hangs up. I don't care what phone. We got cell phones, we got landlines, whatever. And then, we call each other back and she says, "Did we talk 25 minutes already?" Dad says it's time to hang up. So that happens. He sent me an email. I got an email from my dad.
Wow.
I mean, I believe all this stuff, man. And you've got to be open. You've got to not be so cynical. There's some fun stuff going on.
There is, if you just pay attention to it, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Whenever I look back at any paranormal experiences I've had, it's almost like your brain can just kind of skip it. Like that didn't happen and you almost don't remember. And so recalling those experiences, it had to be like, that should have seemed really, really weird, And so I think that just has a tendency to happen of just people being like a glitch in the matrix, or people just ignore it or something. But if
all the synchronicities that happen, where you say, "Wait a minute," last night I was on a podcast with somebody and we were kind of talking about that, and he says, "Oh yeah, my mom's birthday was yesterday," and I said, "My father's birthday and my daughter's birthday was yesterday." Now how would that happen?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was birthdays are a weird synchronicity. I get a lot of those. Oh no, what happened?
Lost her.
And now I'm like half and half here.
Oh. I'm gone, but I'm going to try and get back.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. One of the things that happens when you come back from the other side is you have terrible problems with electrical things.
Is that what my problem is?
Yes. I have this stuff happen all the time.
Well, I found through my experience doing this podcast and listening to other programs that discuss these things, there tends to be technological mayhem
all the time
when things that are discussed that maybe sometimes people don't like to be discussed. Yeah.
or maybe it was your dad being like,
it could be like
25 minutes. We gotta get there.
Yeah, it's time to call mom so I can get you to hang up on her too.
How much more fun life is when you don't have to worry about seeing your family again or your pets or whatever. They're all just over there waiting for them. I had a medium tell me one time, I says, "I know I've got, my dad and my brother." And she says, "Oh my God, you got a room full of people."
Yeah.
And I believe that. I invite them in. Okay, we're going to the store. Who wants to get in the car? I just love to surround myself with them. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, they're really just right there.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Linguist had another question. She was asking if you experienced God as light and a voice.
Light and love.
Light and love.
I have heard the voice. A lot of people hear the voice clearer when they get back. And I'm not sure if that voice is, I don't think it's God. I think it's either your higher self or angels or something. I think God just gives us free will, and God is just love, and he just lets everything happen. I don't think God's not Santa Claus. I don't believe in prayer. I pray for good energy for somebody or for myself, but I don't really think God's up there saying, well, maybe I will give her a raise. That's not going to happen.
Maybe we'll let the Cowboys win this week or whatever.
Yeah. What's up with that,
All right. Let's see if we can find some more questions here. I bet there's some more. I know Linguist had sent us a bunch of questions in Discord. Let's see. Okay. She said, when the light came up each time and then turned into darkness, did you experience any feelings like disappointment, despair, sadness that are coming from the light source?
That light source was not God. Mm-hmm. That was stage lights. That was not God. So I just felt frightened every time the lights went out because I was afraid what was going to happen next.
Yeah, absolutely. Her next question was, what was the hardest moment of your NDE?
I think just before.
When you got to the end.
Just before I got out. I was hitting rock bottom.
Yeah.
It was bad.
That the whore bitch was the worst part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still that fresh after 23 years.
Yeah.
I am still there when I talk about heaven or that experience. It doesn't go away.
Absolutely understand that for sure. Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I think some of these you might have answered. Okay. She asked, have you become more intuitive after this experience? And it sounds like you have.
Yeah, for a while I had an airplane ministry. I was going down to see my mom every month, so I'd fly down and back. And for a while, every single time, either on the way down or on the way back, whoever sat next to me, I could tell from the moment they came into the waiting room, where we're getting before we boarded, that was going to be the person that would sit next to me. And it would happen every time. And they would generally be kind of chatty, and I usually just stick my face in my Kindle. And every time they would say either, I'm so sad, I just came from my mom's funeral, I'll never see her again, I don't know what to do. Or they came up with something that required me to say, well, I just got back from heaven and you're going to see her again. Or I would talk to them the whole, 2 hours. And that happened. It was so wonderful because my sign was, they'd say, I don't know what I would have done if I didn't run into you today.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
I had two girls, two different people take me down to meet their husbands. This wonderful woman talked to me all that up. I feel so much better. It made me feel like, gosh, this was all worth it.
Yeah. You were supposed to sit next to those ladies on the
Exactly. Yes. It was all pre-planned. It was beautiful. I started to trust the process. I started to say, okay, this was a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
even though sometimes you wish you were just reading your Kindle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not when that happened.
No, yeah.
I thought, I get to check one more off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, but have you had a lot of people reach out to you after your book and appearances and stuff that have had NDEs that haven't talked about them before? Because I wonder how many people don't come forward with them after they experience them.
I'd say 95%.
Wow.
We've on IANS, I've started a sharing group for the distressing near-death people, and they come in one at a time, and they don't show their face on their thing, and they sit and say, "I'm just going to listen," And then the second or third meeting, you can see their face, and they're feeling more comfortable. It's such a shame and fear thing. So now I'm working on a workshop that would be for people. And then also Nancy Evans Bush, I hope we can put this together. She's written 3 wonderful books, but they're big books and they're technical. And, And I'm talking to her about getting a workshop with just all the wonderful advice and explanations and encouragement. She's the one, she saved my life. I read her book, and she had a distressing one, but she says, we're not the damned souls, we're the brave souls. And that just turned everything around for me. I thought, I can work from there. I can work from there.
That's wonderful.
I want to give that to other people. I want to give that to
so I'm going to take a second to kind of reset here, because we've had more people come in, and so I just we are show tonight. We have Kathy McDaniel on, and she has written the book Misfit in Hell to Heaven Expat, an NDE experiencer, and we have her with us tonight. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw those into chat, and we can pass those along. She doesn't see chat tonight, so we have to, but we'll bring any questions you have. We will ask her. So if you have anything, put it up there. And welcome in, one and all. Thank you for the follow, Shadow Spoken. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We still have a little bit of time here, so if you have some questions, let us know, and we'll keep going. And if for some reason you need a glass of water or something, just let us know, because we can make that happen. I guess the next question I have, Kathy, is what would you say to the science world? When I've read about this previously, and this gets discussed a lot of times, people will talk about, especially some on the side that doesn't believe in the spiritual world, will talk about the brain releasing certain chemicals and stuff like that. What would you say about that?
You have your opinion, and then when you die, you'll know the truth.
Yeah.
I don't try and convince anybody. I think they're probably afraid, and they're not ready to take that next step. Like the atheists, they'll just have a nice surprise.
Yeah. And everybody's on their own learning journey.
That's right.
Too,
That's
you know?
right.
There might be a reason that they're not at the point where they would want to or need to even know that information yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And typically you're not going to change anybody's mind.
Nope.
It has to be done. It has to be their own path.
They got to experience something on their own.
Yeah.
Linguist had another great question. Did you happen to experience the past, present, and future all at the same time? Like there was no time when you got to a good place?
Well, and even in the dark place, there was no time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no clocks, there's no sun coming up, there's no stars. It's just, I liken it to being in a casino in Las Vegas. You know, you walk in there at 3:00 in the afternoon, they've got no windows, things are going on, you forgot to bring your watch, and you say, well, I think I should probably have a little snack, and it's 4 a.m. You know, you have no concept of time. There's nothing to link it to.
So when you got a lot of, well, I don't know if it's a lot, but certain people that have NDEs say that they experience a feeling of all time happening at the same time. Did you ever feel like you felt like that?
Well, you know, there's just no words for the other side. Everything is like, so everything's a metaphor. It seemed like this, or I wasn't conscious of time in either place. It's like an eternal now. That's the best I can come up with.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Eternal now. Yeah, that's a good term.
Eternal now. Yes.
We have Jenny mentioned this earlier, that we had a brief discussion with Mark Hunter Brooks, and he's going to be on. We haven't had him on the show yet, but he's going to be on in a couple of weeks. But in our brief discussion we had the other night, we got into one of the topics that we've discussed in here quite a bit, which is kind of mixing spirituality with science, and maybe science just not having caught up with, obviously, you know, what is on the other side. And so I think that's where this question kind of comes from, is this idea that, you know, some in the scientific field are starting to think now that, you know, that time isn't linear, that it's just how we experience it in our human form. And so maybe not experiencing time on the other side could be a ramification of you actually experiencing time however you want to experience time, whether that's in the future or in the past or in the present. So yeah, that's interesting, because there seems to be such a time manipulation or lack of time, or the internal now that you talk about, if that could be something that could be quantifiable scientifically.
Well, this is a question I want to ask you. I like Gaia. I watch a lot of Gaia. They were talking about time on Earth is because, we rotate this amount. It takes the moon around. We make our own time on Earth. But if you go to a different planet where it's bigger and they rotate, takes 3 years to go all the way around, they don't have the same time we do. So I think time is relative, the wrong word to use here, but it's or it's just an illusion.
Yeah.
We don't know. We got these little tiny brains,
Yeah.
We think we're so smart, but we don't really.
No.
We guess a lot of the time.
Nor are we.
The math is probably the closest thing to truth as you're going to find is math.
And probably we're not supposed to know it either.
Yeah, like I say, then we're cheating.
Yeah.
If you knew all the answers, what's the point of coming down and learning?
And it's
stuff?
not as fun to talk about either.
Right. There would be no podcast.
Yeah. There's no mystery. There's no questioning.
Yeah. It would be boring.
Yeah, for sure. And Linguist has a bunch more questions she's putting in.
Linguist always has a lot of questions,
which is good.
Cool.
But there was one here that I really liked, which is, did you feel at any point that you didn't know who you were, or did you have your memory and knowing who you were the whole time you were on the other side?
Yeah, I was just me. Your soul is you. I see my body as a car now. My soul is sitting in this car, and it drives around, and I feel things, touch things, experience things. But when I die, I park the car, and my soul goes to heaven. That's me. That's my personality. That's my knowledge. That's who I am. That doesn't change. It didn't for me.
I like that analogy.
Excellent.
Love it.
All right,
Okay.
Jenny, do you have any other questions saved up over there?
She has answered all of mine.
Okay.
Linguist has another one about, because there's talk of speculation of referencing to things seeming like a hologram. Which you kind of did talk about, that this is an illusion. Mm-hmm. But
that's what I'm told.
Yeah,
I'm told. And isn't that the quantum physics thing really, that nothing is real because at the base of everything is space, and that energy, that space, that's God. Is once you wrap your mind or let your mind expand to accept that, that's really trippy. I enjoy that a lot. You think, oh, this is closed and it's solid, but no, we're all really one. We just can't see that it's connected. It's really kind of fun.
It is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's a matter of seeing and understanding things that maybe outpace what we understand scientifically, materially, physically, and then trying to make sense of that. And unfortunately, I think people who inquire and get inquisitive about that kind of get shunned a little bit. But like I said earlier, hopefully that's starting to change a little bit. So
yeah, they're opening up, I think. They really do.
Like it, yeah. So I have shared your links a couple of times, but will you tell us where people can find your book?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere really, where they sell books.
Awesome.
Except my local public library. I find that amusing.
You should donate them. Here,
bring him a copy.
I'll give you a free book. No, you got to talk to the board. You know.
Oh, goodness.
Crying out loud.
You should just go stick it on a shelf.
I know.
How did that get there? I don't know.
Oops.
So yeah, there it is again. Go to Amazon. The website,
the Amazon link,
is Misfit in Hell, the heavenexpat.com. You can go there and check out Kathy McDaniel there, or go to Amazon and you can order the book and get the full experience there. What do you have planned? We talked about it a little bit before about the message you have to put out here, but what do you have planned for the immediate future? Do you plan on writing any more, or?
No. took me 20 years to write this one. No, I'm done with that. What I am working on getting a proposal together for a couple upcoming conferences, one of the IONS conferences and an SAI conference, and having to do with workshops for people who have had the distressing near-death experiences. And it's interesting because a lot of times they're dual. I want to start using that expression. They're dual experiences because you have maybe had something disturbing, but you also went to heaven. You had the light, you had the fear. So, or the love and the fear. I'm working on 2 proposals right now, and just enjoy welcoming people to the sharing group at IONS, and just reaching out and going on a lot of podcasts. It's so much fun. I love it. It's not work. I just love it. Thank you really sincerely for having me on. I've really enjoyed both of you.
Well, thank you for coming on, and that's why, and that's why we do this show, because it is fun. It's fun talking about, and you know, my chances of running into you at a grocery store probably slim to none. Yeah. And so being able to have people on and talk about these things and get information out there and have conversation where people can just talk about things, I think is something that's truly needed in our modern society.
Safe.
So, yeah.
So safe. You're not offending anybody. If they don't like it, they can hang up, you know?
Yeah, you can. You can turn us off, but don't.
If they don't like it, they're not here. So
that's right. You know.
So we'll start to wrap up. But I want to say, let's see, we have we're not going to be here tomorrow. Meaning Ginny Lee won't be here tomorrow for her normal reading night. So we're going to be enjoying a night out. So we will see you back next Thursday or next Tuesday. We'll be here. So what are you doing Thursday. That night? Are you doing another reading night, or are you going to do some variety?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
We'll find out.
So keep up for Discord, and you can find out what's going on.
Keeping
Tuesday.
My options open.
We'll be back on Thursday on the Witching Hours, so that we can maybe look at some more videos or even play some more games, and maybe I'll come on Sunday, hopefully maybe for that as well.
We're really close to getting affiliate. I think we need 2 more streams, maybe,
or
a couple
1 more streams.
Yeah.
And that's all we need is the streams. We have all the followers and all you wonderful weirdo people who are in here.
Wonderful.
So we just got a stream more. So we got that coming up.
A couple more streams.
Yeah. And then our next podcast stream
is Mark Hunter Brooks.
Be with Mark Hunter Brooks.
Yes.
And he is going to come
February
on
2nd.
And we are going to talk about what we had discussed earlier, kind of like the meshing of the spiritual, paranormal phenomena, and how that can relate to science, and how science can explain.
Sounded like he
those.
had some really fun, cool spiritual experiences too.
Yeah. So if you like,
he's a nice guy too.
He's super nice. I'm looking forward to that conversation, just like I enjoyed our conversation with you tonight, Kathy. So thank you so much for coming by.
Me too.
I just wanted to say before you head out that how absolutely wonderful it is that you finally got the opportunity to really put your experience out there so that other people that had the same horrible crap happen to them have somebody to look to and somebody to help them through this. Because that's like, I mean, clearly that's the reason why you got sent back. Gotta do this. But like, it's just, it's beautiful and it's amazing. And
well, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel blessed. I really do.
Yeah. Yay.
Excellent. Well, everyone in chat was excited and telling you bye, Kathy. So a lot of people love to hear your story. And so once again, it was great having you on. All right, everybody, I think we will call it here. So everyone have a wonderful evening. Have a great night. And we're on to Friday for all you week warriors. We're almost there.
Yeah.
So we will see you guys next time. Take care.